All right, you're watching this, so it's safe to assume you have a 1996 through 98 4Runner with an inaccurate gas gauge. 96 through 98 is really important here. The 99 through 2002 variation, Toyota changed just enough to make it slightly incompatible, which may be contributing to why you're still having issues if you've already dropped the gas tank into the sender unit, did the body ground wire mod. You may have replaced the dash already. These are all things I've already done chasing this goblin. Checked all my wiring. It's a dead end, it seems like, right? So I've been toying with a little workaround that I'm going to take you guys out and show you. It's not a fix. It's not going to bring back your OEM gas gauge, but hopefully it's just as good. We're also going to dive a little bit into why this is happening, and at least from what I found on the internet. And a possible part that may fix it, bring it back to OEM standard, but unfortunately I haven't tested that part and haven't even ordered it. So that one is also a do-it-your-own risk. But I will post a link to that part in the description, as well as the parts I'm using for my workaround. So let's get started. I also want to reiterate, this is trial and error for me. This is not a for sure thing. This is me trying something out on my truck. And if you want to follow along and do the same thing, I don't want to be responsible for your boo-boos. So try at your own risk. All right, so we've all been here already, right? This is my current workbench. It's a mess, as is all of Toyota's wiring, because they change colors every goddamn month. None of the extra stuff I have in here, like I have this extra pigtail that I've been, I tried to replace the pigtail thinking it was that. Also the actual connector itself that goes between the tank and the harness. I've replaced so much, and it fixed nothing. So I have all these extra parts. None of this is required to do any testing or anything. This is just merely going to make it easier for me to demonstrate, and it was also easier for me to test out. So I have that. I have a sender unit that I pulled out of a 2000 4Runner. That doesn't work. I mean, it'll work, but I'll show you why. This is the one I pulled out of mine when it originally wasn't working, and it's burnt, but it still makes contact. It still works, but it's also, where's the part number? It's the same part number as the one out of the 2000, and I suspect, because my pigtails were already spliced, that this was already replaced in there, and the previous owners couldn't get it to work either. The one I currently have in here is an OEM one. It's a different part number. I'll put that part number somewhere over here. But it's supposed to be the updated fuel sender. It's kind of different. It attaches a little differently. You have to add like a little bracket, and it's got like more of a bulbous float than these square boxes, right? So you've either done that one, or you pulled one from the junkyard, or you found one of those. But either way, your thing still isn't working. Now the reason for that is somewhere between 98 and 99, Toyota decided to change how these sent information back up to the cluster. I found a wiring diagram FSM on the Toyota forums showing the differences. I'll put it up. That actually was found by somebody named Shamrock on the Toyota 4Runner forum. Big shout out to him, because without him I wouldn't have figured any of this out. So I'm gonna put that up so you guys can check that out, and yeah. So as you saw in the FSM, for 96 through 98, empty was showing like 100 something ohms, and full was showing low ohms, right? Well, in the 99s, it went from low ohms for empty to high ohms for full. Anyway, here's my test bench. I got the pigtail hooked up to the connector. I got one of the working fuel senders hooked up to that, and then I got my voltage reader hooked up to some, positive to the signal wire, this to the ground, and we're gonna check the resistance. So turn this to ohms. As you can see, it's yelling at me. So this is how your fuel sender sits in the gas tank, right? And that is empty. Empty is showing 14 ohms, right? And then you go to, sorry, this is gross with one hand. Go to full, and now we're seeing 190. Empty, full. So it works, you know, we know it works, but it's backwards, and it's a different resistance value than what your dash is trying to read. So we got to fix that. But you can't fix that without replacing the dash to an updated one. But the updated dashes don't fit or don't work in our cars because the wiring is different. So what I'm gonna do is pretty ghetto fabulous, but I'm gonna wire this thing into my dash and run that to the gas or the fuel sender. You know, it's ugly, it doesn't match the aesthetic. When I tried it, it's super bright, and that's probably going to be annoying after a while, but it works, and it works good. All right, let's get into the fix. I know somebody's watching this getting mad. Off of your harness, you got a blue and an orange, a white and a black. Leave those alone. Those are for your fuel pump. You don't touch those. Then you've got some kind of variation of colors up here. For me, I've got on this pigtail, and the pigtail that I cut off and replaced is orange, yellow, red, and brown and black. Now on my vehicle, I have yellow, red, black and red, and then brown. So like I said, Toyota likes to change the colors. Here is the body ground wire mod, whatever, didn't work. So if you need to figure out what controls what you're gonna do is you're gonna come put your key in the ignition and turn it to on. Don't start the car, but turn it to on, and you're gonna watch your gas gauge. And what you need to do, mind you, these are the cut wires from my current pigtail that's in, not this. So just need to, sorry, you need to clarify that. I'm just gonna do this with the body ground because it's gonna show the same thing. You're gonna take the wire and you're gonna jump it to the ground. As you can see, my gas light's on, off, on, off, on, right? Then I'm gonna jump the other wire, and the needle's gonna start to sweep very slowly, but it's going. You can see it's filling up, right? So yellow is my signal, and the black and red is my gas light. Now when I tested the voltages on these, this is like 11 volts for whatever reason. I don't know why a light needs that much. And this is like 5. There's some kind of electrical experience there I don't have, but all I know is signal, light. Like I said, for you that may be different colors. If you have this harness, you probably have the updated stuff already, so this might not be your issue, but that's how you find your colors. Forgot to mention, on your pigtail, it's gonna go right to left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're ever reading a pin out, pin 1, pin 3, you don't need to worry about the fuel pump wires, but 1, 2, and 3. 3 is going to be ground, 1 is going to be signal, 2 is going to be the fuel light. So what you're going to do is you're going to go online. I'll post a link to that one, but maybe you can find one that's different or not backlit as bad. That was just the cheapest one I could find because I wasn't willing to spend a lot of money on something I was going to try. But what you need to do is find one that has the range of 0 to 190 ohms. And this one does a couple of them. You know, it does high to low. You can program it for different values for different applications. Like this is for boats and motorcycles and stuff too. But the one we're after is 0 to 190. So for that, you just got to cut 2 wires, which I did. The white and the gray. And now I'm going to hook this up and show you it working. Okay, you're going to have to really forgive how chaotic it is right here. But this is the easiest way I can show you, right? So this thing makes a world of difference, by the way. So if you remember correctly, pin 1, signal. So I have this going to the signal wire on this aftermarket gauge, right? The power I have going to that red and black wire for me. It may be a different color for you, but it's pin 2. This is, by the way, this is going out of my vehicle's harness and to the pigtail that's out of the car. Mine is currently disconnected because I'm trying to hook this up, but I'm just showing you. So you have power going to your pin 2, right? And then your ground is going to, mine is currently to the body ground, but I did test my ground coming from the vehicle and it's fine. So we're just using this for demonstration purposes. And it goes up to the ground, right? So important here, if you keep, with everything else you can T-tap in. You can T-tap into the ground, you can T-tap into pin 1. But for this one, it's on empty right now, so I'm going to show you. Look at empty. And then as we raise the arm, full, you get the whole range, right? Just so you can see, this isn't, okay, so it works, right? But when you put, if you leave the gas sender light, or the empty light, connected, right, you can't T-tap into this one because then it starts messing with it. I guess some kind of, it draws different current or something. So that one, you're just going to kind of cut it off. You don't need the light anymore because now you have a nice little flashing, gross, empty light. But that's it. Signal to pin 1, ground to pin 3, power to pin 2, but you're going to disconnect pin 2 from the pigtail, or, you know, cut it and just tape it off. End it, just leave it, right? You're from the vehicle. I know this is a very crude explanation, but either way, we have a gas gauge, right? Oh no, I have half a tank. I better fill up in 2 miles because this thing only gets 10 miles to the gallon. So that's it. That is my gas gauge. It's flickering on the camera, but it's pretty solid here. Shut up. It's bright, it's ugly, it's pretty obnoxious, but it works. And if I remember correctly, this thing was like 10 bucks. So 10 bucks and like an hour of fiddling with the wiring. Now I'm gonna hack up my dashboard and stick it in there. And, well, you could definitely put this on a pod on the A-pillar or something, you know, if you, either way. That being said, this is what's gonna work for me because I'm cheap and lazy, even though this took more work. Well, dropping the gas tank is a lot of work too, but that part is for the people that want the correct fix. If you only want your OEM gas gauge, you know, you're dead set on it, you've done all these other things, the problem is you put the wrong sender in, more than likely. I will put the part number up here somewhere, or maybe not. It'll all be in the description, as well as a link to the actual fuel sender. Buy that one at your own risk. It doesn't say OEM, but it, you know, the seller on eBay has really good reviews. I'm not affiliated with either Amazon or eBay with the products I'm going to put in the link, but it comes from Taiwan. You got to pay duty fees, but it's like 60 bucks, 50, 60 bucks. With the duty fees, it's probably like 80. And then of course you have to drop your gas tank again. Who wants to do that? Maybe you do. I don't know. I haven't hooked up my actual sender. I'm going to hook it up and show you guys what I'm sitting at currently in the gas tank. But yeah, I don't want to do that again. But if you want to, go for it. There's the part number. Thanks again to Shamrock on the 4Runner forums for digging and getting all this information out there, because I wouldn't have. And I wouldn't have been able to do this workaround, sorry, it's a workaround, without that knowledge. So big shout out to Shamrock. You know, he lists the correct part number, and if you search that up, either Toyota wants $200+, I ain't got that, and then the eBay seller from Taiwan wants like 60 bucks. So do what you want to do, but like I said, that's 12 bucks and a lot less headache than dropping the gas tank. Oh, we'll see. When I install it in the dash, I'll show you guys, and we'll see how much less of a headache it is. Okay, we made a little boo-boo, but that's okay. That's why it's trial and error. That's why we're here. Hopefully you didn't already dip out and start cutting up your harness. As you can see, I'm currently hooked up to my installed fuel sender, and the gas gauge doesn't like that much. And I realized that if you leave the dashboard or the cluster connected to the sender, it's going to interfere with the signal to that. So what we're going to do is disconnect. Oh God, it's hard going in. We're going to disconnect the cluster. Now I have accurate fuel. That's assuming, I'm assuming that's about where I was at. Filled up not too long ago, kind of drove it like an asshole. So that's about where I expected it to be. Maybe a little more or a little less. It's going to be hard to say how accurate this really is, but that's about where I was thinking it was going to be. So, and it's hooked up to my current sender. So the boo-boo I made was, I told you T-tap into pin 3 and T-tap into pin 1. We're not going to do that, because if you have the cluster still connected, it's going to confuse the gas gauge. So you're going to terminate pin 1 from the vehicle side. You're going to cap that off, and you're going to tap into the sender on pin 1. I know this is confusing because that's yellow red and that's yellow red, but remember that menace of a pigtail is different colors for me. For you, this will probably be black and red if you have your OEM pigtail. This will be black and red, and this will be orange, or this will be yellow and red. Okay, so you're gonna terminate pin 2 from the pigtail. Just cap it off. You don't need that. You're gonna butt connect or splice or solder, whatever you decide to do, the power from the gas gauge to pin 2 from the vehicle. You can T-tap into the ground so long as your body ground is good. If you've checked, and mine is okay, obviously it's working, but the body ground mod still works. So if you need to, it's not going to change anything for me, but if you need to, you can still use that. You're just going to have like a 3-way, you know. So you can T-tap into ground, absolutely. Terminate pin 1 from the vehicle, terminate pin 2 from the harness, or from the pigtail. You're going to butt connect from the pigtail to pin 1 to the gas gauge, and you're going to butt connect from the vehicle to pin 2, and then you have accurate fuel. Enough, accurate enough. Don't forget to have your key in and on in the on position. Don't start the car, obviously, but yeah, I was kind of figuring out why I wasn't getting power for a minute, and I had a dumb moment when I was making this video, and I was like, oh yeah, I need it to be on. So I will get to officially wiring this up and installing that into the dash. Now, like I said, not everybody's gonna want it in their dash. I don't feel like putting something on the A-pillar right now or making a new mount for the dash, and it's bright. If I feel so empowered to, I might put some tint on that for at night. But yeah, I'll get this all hooked up and show you guys what it's gonna look like, and see you in a minute. All right, after some tinkering, we have our gas gauge installed, and glory be, it works. It's bright as hell though, obnoxious, and it looks ugly, but it's a workaround, not a fix. So it works for me, hopefully it works for you. So yeah, I cut the glass, it looks ugly. Come for me in the comments, I don't really care. I have an extra cluster that I was gonna do a refresh, put the different templates, wire, or the different lights and all that stuff. So I'm not too worried about this cluster. By the time I throw that cluster in, I will have fixed the, I will have gotten the correct sender for this truck. But yeah, it works. You can just tap into the pigtail back there, the black and the black and red, and the yellow and red, but you'd have to disconnect the yellow and red from the pigtail. Not to mention, then you're spliced in right here, and if you need to pull the cluster out, you got to undo the splice and all that stuff. I just ran barrel connectors to the wiring, and I'm gonna run the wiring up through the footwell. So, you know, same dealio. Terminate. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It works, I think. We'll see. I'll update as I drive it more and the fuel level changes. And I'll so to reiterate, this is for 96 through 98, 99 through 2002. If your dash is dead, then you can do this as a temporary, although I wouldn't. I would just go to the junkyard and get another dash. Because those fuel senders, I think it's part number 35530. These are for you guys, not for 96 to 98. So yeah, you can do it. I wouldn't, but it's the same thing. You know, just find your wires and do that. Hope this helps you 96 to 98 guys, because I was beating my head against a wall. If you know anybody with a 96 to 98 it's got a fuel issue, share this with them, like the video, comment, tell me what I did wrong, what I did right. I don't know, maybe I would talk too much, probably do. It's my first video, so leave me alone. Don't subscribe. I'm not going to make more videos. I'm infrequently. So either way, thanks for watching. Hope this helps.